The views and opinions expressed in this presentation are those of the producer and those appearing in the show and do not necessarily represent the views of DairyCam, the town of Derry, or any of its staff or affiliates. Hi, I'm Anthony Henry. Welcome back to America's Ass. We're in episode 77. This is our last show of the year. Went by really quick this season. And we're almost at 100. I'm hoping we can get to 100 by next season. We still have a lot of great congressional candidates that I'd like to have on. We have one on today. Please welcome Anthony DiLorenzo, candidate for CD1. Thank you for coming on. Please tell the audience about yourself.
Thank you for having me. I came to New Hampshire in 1983 to attend the University of New Hampshire. Fell in love with the state, and I've been here ever since. Started a business around 1986. I worked full time when I was not when I was in college, but I didn't graduate from college. I dropped out of college. Ended up working full time and saved up some money and started my own business around 1987, 8 in that area. I've been able to grow that business significantly. We now have about 1,000 employees in 10 different states. So New Hampshire's been great to me, and there's no place I'd rather live.
Well, New Hampshire is really unique in that we foster a great business innovation environment that not a lot of states do.
No question. And I've traveled a lot, and I know that for a fact because I've done business in states like Massachusetts, California. I got out of Massachusetts, and I'm in the process of getting out of California. People don't realize how the regulatory environment can negatively or positively impact economic growth. And those states are much more difficult to do business in to receive the same results.
We're very lucky in New Hampshire, and I think an issue that flies under the radar a lot are regulations like that red tape, those licensing issues. People don't realize how big of an impact that actually has.
They don't. Honestly, until I got into politics, I didn't realize it either. So on the business side, I understood it because I live it every day. I've been in business for over 35 years. But now I'm looking into the issues that impact the people of New Hampshire, things like housing, health care, mostly issues surrounding affordability, okay? And I'm learning that a lot of the issues that we are facing are largely impacted by burdensome regulation, specifically the healthcare industry. We've created this environment that's reduced competition. There's not transparency in pricing, and we've ended up in a situation where healthcare costs have risen significantly because of it.
So you're a very accomplished business leader in the state. What made you want to take the leap to politics?
6 months ago, if you told me I was running for Congress, I would have told you you're crazy. I never anticipated running for Congress. But as I looked around and I saw the problems that the state is facing and the country is facing, highlighted really by the Biden administration and what I perceive as a lack of leadership, I decided I could either sit around and complain about it or do something about it. I would have rather gotten behind a candidate that I thought would represent New Hampshire the way it deserves to be represented, and I didn't see anybody that I felt comfortable representing our state.
So what was it like to kind of make that transition from, I guess, background supporter, supporting candidates and causes for a long time, and then making the leap to candidate yourself?
I did not know what I was getting into. It's a whole new world. I'm happy to do it, and I'm actually now I'm enjoying it. But the first couple weeks, it throws your life upside down. So it's a lot of work. But again, I'm happy to do it, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying talking to different people. I'm enjoying really digging into the issues and I'm a results-oriented guy. I mean, in business, you have to identify problems, understand the problems, and then start researching solutions. Then you execute solutions. Lastly, you monitor how well they're doing. So I'm in the process of really digging into the issues like housing, like healthcare, issues surrounding affordability, because that's when I travel the state, that's what I'm hearing. So there's a lot to it. And I'm happy to do it, as I said, and I'm learning a lot. And like I said, one of the things I'm learning is that regulation has a large impact. So I am confident that when I get to DC, I'll be able to work not only with the federal government, but I have good relationships with the state government to resolve and impact the issues that face our state.
Well, I find it's elected officials that don't necessarily want to run, that are recruited to run, that end up being better natural leaders because they don't seek it.
Yeah, I don't need a job, but I love my state. I can't tell you how fortunate I feel to have picked the University of New Hampshire to attend back in 1983. I actually met with my college roommate the other day. I hadn't seen him in a long time, and I said to him, I didn't realize that day when I got to New Hampshire how it would impact my life. And you're right. There are too many people in politics for the wrong reason, and there are too many professional politicians. I'm a business person. I'm pragmatic. I use common sense. I work hard, and I'm going to bring those characteristics to DC to help my state.
Well, it's certainly the current holder of that seat, Chris Pappas, and whoever the Democratic nominee ends up being, whether it be Stephanie Shaheen or Maura Sullivan, that are part of that group that have been the problem, those people that seek elected office for their own gain.
I agree. I'm not going to sit there and talk negatively about people in particular, but I do believe that there are people representing our state right now that are not doing a good job and are not looking out for the best interests of the people. What happened recently with the second district with Maggie releasing this video telling military personnel to disobey the commander in chief. I mean, I would love to know how she thinks that is good representation of our state. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And on the other side, you have one of the candidates actually both of the candidates, major candidates on the other side, advocating to close the government down, mad that Senator Shaheen opened the government. I don't understand why people would think that it's in our best interest to have the government closed.
Well, I think one thing I've learned in my few years that I've followed politics is that a lot of politics is marketing. And I don't think enough people know how to market themselves and how to market ideas for them to be successful.
You're exactly right. And I didn't realize that until I got into it. My perception of politics before getting in has changed significantly now that I'm in politics.
Do you agree that people have the wrong idea about politics until they actually start living it? Because I feel politics seems like an iron curtain when you look at it from the outside that seems almost impenetrable. But once you actually step in, you realize how easy it is to get things done, even if you're just a citizen.
I'm of the belief that you can accomplish anything you set your mind to. Okay, so I was not experienced, and I'm still not experienced in politics. And honestly, I don't ever want to come across as an experienced politician. That's not who I am. So I agree with what you're saying, that being an outsider, not a politician, and then entering it, it's a very different perspective. And I would encourage people to learn more about it because you can make a difference, especially in our state. People in our state are, especially the voters, are well educated. They care. Most people understand what a special place New Hampshire is, and I feel that we should encourage people to get involved.
We should, and you're making that leap, and we'll start getting into that. So President Trump took office earlier this year. Easy question, I guess. What's been different since he took over?
One of the things I'll point out immediately that I noticed is the transparency in government. I didn't realize how bad the Biden administration was as far as from a transparency standpoint. So President Trump has immediately, I don't know the statistics, but from what I understand, he's already answered more questions than Biden has during his whole term. So I love the transparency in government. I love the fact that the president has put America first. I think that's very important. domestic energy production is a significant issue. I talked to this gentleman the other day who's a CEO of a energy company. He compared us to the Saudi Arabia of natural gas. He said, we have more natural gas in this country. We have enough to last us a significant amount of time. It's the cleanest, from what I understand, fossil fuel. And we have a hard time we can't get it into New Hampshire. It's actually blocked by the state of New York. And I think the state of Massachusetts gives us a hard time about getting pipelines in. So domestic energy production is a great focus. We're in a state that has one of the highest energy costs in the country. And the only thing prohibiting us from having reasonably priced energy is our neighboring liberal states.
And nuclear energy has been a hot topic as well.
Yeah, I've learned a lot about nuclear energy. First of all, when I went and talked to the people down and live in Seabrook, they're like, we do not feel comfortable that the government has provided the infrastructure necessary to get us out of here if there is an event. So that's one thing that you wouldn't know if you didn't go talk to the people that live in Seabrook. The second thing I've learned about nuclear is it's about 5 times as expensive as traditional energy production. So I think nuclear has a future, but it's not a slam dunk.
What do you think of the idea that I've heard from actually a couple other candidates about building a plant in Berlin?
Nuclear plant?
Yes.
I talked to this guy, the same guy yesterday. He is a CEO of actually a nuclear energy company. I'm not going to tell you who it is because I don't have his permission to share. But his standpoint was you will never, ever get a nuclear plant in New Hampshire. And I said, why is that? He said, there's too much opposition to that in the Northeast. There's too much opposition to it. I don't know, you're too young to remember what happened with Seabrook, but Seabrook, they strung that Seabrook plant cost 3, 4, 5, I don't know how much times what it should have cost because of delays, because people were objecting to it.
I remember a few of those objectors and protesters actually became pretty significant elected officials in the state as well.
Yeah.
Rennie Cushing, for example, the former House Minority Leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess one hot topic that we saw in Congress this past week was Epstein file release. What are your thoughts on that, what we know so far?
I think the government should release every piece of information they have unless it's highly classified for national security reasons. And, same thing with Kennedy. I mean, they were just recently releasing Kennedy files. I mean, that's from the 60s. It's ridiculous. So I believe in transparency in government, and I don't know why it's even a conversation.
Yeah, I was really surprised at the opposition I saw from many people within the party.
Me too.
That didn't want to see that happen. Fun fact for anyone that doesn't know, Thomas Massey actually used to live in Derry. A few of his kids were born at Parkland Hospital right down the road.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I think right before he moved to Kentucky, he lived here.
Really?
But, yeah, I think what happened earlier this week will go down in history as one of the most important moments in congressional history. Yeah. What he did with the discharge petitions, with all the odds stacked against him, all the major donors, the president, the Speaker of the House, he stood with only 3 other members of Congress.
Yeah.
On his party, and they managed to get it done.
It was the right thing to do. I'm glad he was successful, and I'm curious to see what's in there. I don't know who's hiding what, but we'll find out hopefully. And I'm concerned that there's a court case going on that people are saying they might use that court case to not release all the information, which would be a shame.
So, assuming you get into Congress, what do you plan to do when you get there?
One of my first objectives is to have exceptional constituent services. That's something that I can do, I feel, immediately. I've been in the consumer service, retail service business for a long time. And so I've been doing that. So I want to make sure that we have excellent constituent services. As far as legislation, I've never been in Congress, so I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do, what I'm going to be able to accomplish there. I can tell you that I will identify the problems that face our state, and I will work harder than anybody else to get those done. I'm a very results-oriented person. Things like the deficit bother me. I don't think people are not talking about it. I will talk about the deficit all the time. The one objection I have to recent legislation is that they increase the debt ceiling. I will be very vocal about the deficit. We have a $38 trillion deficit. Essentially, what we're doing to our young people, anybody under 30 years old, starts life with a $500,000 bill. You guys are all in debt, $500,000 apiece. It's not acceptable, okay? Yeah. Another issue that I know we can make progress in is housing. Housing prices have increased in New Hampshire almost 3 times, outpaced wage growth 3 to 1, okay? They released a study the other day that the average home buyer is now close to 60 years old. It's ridiculous. I got my first house when I was in my 20s, okay? So one of the reasons that I am running for Congress is I'm concerned about your generation. I'm comfortable. I'll be okay. I'm concerned about you guys. I'm concerned about the opportunities you have. I'm concerned that nobody talks about the American dream anymore. I'm concerned that with the debt and the basically the liability you guys are being left with. So I'm concerned about you guys.
Yeah, I think a lot of my, classmates, because I'm senior at Pinkerton now, a lot of my classmates feel that same way. Yeah. They don't know what after college is going to look like because everything's expensive.
Yeah.
And what you said about constituent service reminded me of something. There's a history YouTuber called Mr. Beat, B-E-A-T, and as a little experiment, he actually called every single congressional office, all 435. I think it took him a week, but he called all of them. He asked them all the same question about a certain piece of legislation. How many members of Congress do you think got back to him?
Say under 50.
8.
Wow.
Out of 435.
Wow.
That shows that we have a major problem nationally on both sides, that members of our government seem to have lost track of who really put them there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree exactly with what you're saying. So first of all, to me, that's low-hanging fruit. That I'm absolutely positive I can take care of. Okay, that's what I do. I have 36 operating businesses in 10 different states. Having constituent services in New Hampshire is not challenging to me. Okay, I agree with what you sort of asserted, that the government has to take the position that they work for us, okay? And that's not always the case. And the facts you just revealed is a perfect example of that. If you work for us, how could only 8 of 435 respond, right? So obviously they don't feel like they have any obligation to their constituents, which is, again, unacceptable.
Yeah, and I kind of learned that lesson last year when we had that major issue with our school board wanting to mess with our school district, and we had people silenced by our then board chair, and I was just thinking, those people supported your election. Mm-hmm. I remember that same person campaigned for you, and now you're not letting them talk because they disagree with you.
Right.
And I feel as I say almost every show, the most important decisions are made at the local level.
There's no question. I believe in local politics. Okay, I believe as much as we can get pushed down to the state and the local level, the better off we are.
Yeah, and I think the reason that Democrats tend to have a favorable environment in local elections is because they know how to mobilize the troops when it comes to issues such as those. Local things like PTA groups and things like that.
I mean, I would say that's true. I don't know that for a fact, but they're obviously successful in that. So, and I think the Republicans need to improve messaging, because I do think we are correct on the issues. And I haven't met one person, Democrat or Republican, that wants an open border. Yet for 4 years, our Democrat delegation in Washington didn't say a word about it. But have you met anybody that wants an open border?
No.
Me neither. Also, there was legislation recently on largest tax relief in American history. Our entire delegation voted against that. You know, it makes no sense to me.
So, statistically, midterms tend to be more favorable for the opposition party. That would be the Democrats this year. We are in a swing district. It can go either way. I do think we can retake CD1. I think with the right candidate, we can retake CD2 also, and the Senate seat. But what issues do you think are going to be most important to have that swing happen? Because New Hampshire is unique in that I believe we're the last true purple state.
I think that's a good point. Messaging is important. People have to participate in the process. We need voters to understand who the candidates are, what they represent, what their capabilities are. Okay, so one of the things my father told me when I was much younger, he said the best predictor of somebody's future success is their past. Okay, so you can look at the candidates' track records and see who's really accomplished a lot and who hasn't. Okay, messaging, like I said, is very important. Getting people out to the polls is important. Okay, I'm not looking for people to vote for me because I'm a Republican. I'm looking for people to vote for me because they understand that I am the person most capable of getting things done for the state of New Hampshire. And I want that message to appeal to the voters, all voters.
And New Hampshire is one of the only states where people really think that way because a third of our voters are independent.
The largest block is undeclared, right?
Yeah.
And at one time when I was young and more idealistic, I was undeclared voter because I didn't want to be pinned into any group. Now I'm a Republican because I believe the Republicans are right on the issues, and I don't really identify. I believe the Democrat Party has been hijacked by the liberal left, and I think there's a lot of disenchanted Democrats as well that they've gone a little bit too far.
So I guess my last topic I want to bring up, what do we think that the next few years will look like for America if we continue down the road of rebuilding everything that the Biden administration destroyed? What will America look like in the next few years?
That's a great question. And it's a good point, what you said about Biden destroyed. As soon as Biden got in, his platform was reversing everything the President Trump had done. Okay, there really wasn't any. It didn't appear to me that there was clear direction except for not Trump. So now that President Trump is back and he's clearly enumerated his agenda, the issues that are important to him, I think that's a positive for our country. So I anticipate growth. I'd love to see some increased manufacturing. I think it's amazing what the president's done, getting these commitments from countries and corporations to build here in America. I think that's going to be very positive for our economy. Again, domestic energy production. But you have to remember also, if we lose control of one of the Congress, the House or the Senate, it's going to make it much more difficult for the president to get his agenda through. So that worries me. I'd say that's probably the biggest problem facing us right now.
So one analogy I'll use before we wrap up. A couple weeks ago, Trump went to an NFL game. I believe it was Lions at Commanders. And a wide receiver for the Lions, Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of the best receivers in the league, he got a touchdown. And I remember he did the Trump dance and pointed at the box.
I remember that, yeah.
And then right after, he got hit by another player.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good analogy for where we're at in America right now, where most people support everything Trump's doing. You might not like some of the way he goes about it, some things he says, because he does have a big mouth. We all know that.
No question, yeah.
But we're going to get hit down. We have been hit down as America. It was at the start of this season of the show, only 2 episodes in, we saw Charlie Kirk get shot. And last year, Trump got shot, almost shot. We are being hit for protecting America, and we need to stay positive. We need to, I guess, figuratively keep doing the Trump dance, stay positive, and keep America on the right track.
There's no question, but this is not a Democrat-Republican issue. This is an American issue. Freedom of speech is essential to our country. It's our First Amendment, and so anybody that behaves in the manner that you're describing, that it's unacceptable, and we need people from both sides saying that is not right.
I believe at this point in our history, it's not so much a battle of Democrat versus Republican, but right versus wrong.
I agree, but what you just said is an important thing to point out. I've never seen the government, or I've never seen politics this polarized in my entire life. It's not healthy. And so when I get to D.C., one of the things I plan on doing is reaching across the aisle. In business, we never approach a problem with, are you a Democrat or you're a Republican? I mean, it's never, ever come up in my 35 years. We look at problems and we solve them. And that's what our federal government should be doing. Not polarization, but talking about problems and fixing them.
I agree, and I think we've lost track of that as a country.
No question.
So we are just about out of time, so feel free to give any closing statement you may have.
I appreciate your time. I look forward to working for the people of New Hampshire. It's my obligation to serve my state, and I feel, like I said, obligated to help others, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thank you for stepping up, and thank you for coming on. So this is our last show of the year. We're going to be on break till sometime between January and February. Just want to take the opportunity to thank everyone that works here at DairyCam. I don't think everyone realizes just how amazing this studio is. They put so much hard work into this show to make it look so good. Every guest I've ever had on has praised the work they've done here. All our guests are comfortable. I am given the freedom to do basically whatever I want with the show, so huge thank you to them. Thank you to all the guests I had on this season. And next few months, even though I'll only be gone 2 or 3 months, a lot's going to happen. By the time I come back to the show, I will know what college I am going to, which is a long time coming. By the time I come back, I will be over halfway through senior year, so I will almost be out of high school. We will be approaching 3 years doing this show, which I didn't really know what I was getting into starting the show, but we're almost at 3 years, and I've had some incredible guests from both sides of the aisle, all walks of life. It's been a good journey, and I'm looking forward to keep going. And I might have a few other surprises that I can't quite talk about yet. And I'm looking forward to sharing them with you all. So I will see you next year. Happy Thanksgiving. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. I'm Anthony Henry. This has been America's Ass. Thank you for watching.